Hey, remember back when two women couldn't marry each other and two men couldn't marry each other? Well, one thing about that people don't talk about often enough is the role of sentence structure analysis in the evolution of marriage in California. Let's get to it. There's a whole long history to this that we'll go through for context. Back in 2000, California voters had passed Proposition 22, which defined a marriage as the union of one man and one woman. As you know, California is a state where essentially voters can participate directly in legislation by voting yes or no on propositions on ballots. Now, in 2004, the mayor of San Francisco ordered marriage licenses granted to same-sex couples, even though Proposition 22 had passed. And this was Gavin Newsom, who later became the governor of California. Within 29 days, 4,000 couples married, and there's going to be a lot of back and forth here, so I'll indicate where at which point the people who were celebrating would have been doing so by waving rainbow flags. So in 2004, still a few months later, the California Supreme Court invalidated those marriage licenses. But in 2008, the California Supreme Court ruled that Proposition 22 had been unconstitutional all along. So rainbow flags waving again. Not only that, but 18,000 couples got married. Do you know how much flowers and cake that is? That is a lot of flowers and cake. Now, at this point, though, Californians who were against these social changes felt that, well, if Proposition 22 had been unconstitutional, that just meant that they had to be more thorough, take a step back, and amend the Constitution itself. So that became another proposition. And Proposition 8, amending California's Constitution, passed narrowly. So now it's in the Constitution that a marriage is defined as the union of one man and one woman. In 2009, the California Supreme Court upheld that, didn't overturn those 18,000 marriages, though. And eventually in 2010, though, a judge ruled that Proposition 8 was unconstitutional. So a lot of back and forth here, but I would like to look more closely at Proposition 8. So this is the place where sentence structure analysis comes in. When there is a proposition that may pass so narrowly, the wording of the proposition on the ballot becomes important. If you imagine that you're a voter in California, there may have been a lot of propositions that you've heard about, many people to vote for or vote against. And so if you were a voter that had been following Proposition 8, you go into the voting booth knowing what it is. But if you hadn't been interested in that, and a lot of people might have been undecided, then when they go and look at their ballot, the title and description on the ballot could actually influence how you think about this. And this was going to be the original title, Limit on Marriage. Some people suggested that it should be called instead, Eliminates Right of Same-Sex Couples to Marry. And this is what it ended up being. So some people who are in favor of Proposition 8, they argued that this is not right. The word eliminates in a ballot title is argumentative, misleading, and prejudicial because it is a negative transitive word. So let's look at them side by side. The original Limit on Marriage versus Eliminates Right of Same-Sex Couples to Marry. Well, Judge Frawley ended up ruling that there is nothing inherently argumentative or prejudicial about transitive verbs, and the court is not willing to fashion a rule that would require the Attorney General to engage in useless nominalization. Here's what he means. Eliminates, if you are somehow not allowed to use that, you would instead say elimination of, and that would be the useless nominalization. And that's how this ballot ended up saying, eliminates right of same-sex couples to marry, and the rest is history.